Sometimes we get lost in the rush of it all.
G'day guys, Paul, Perth FourbeeFour Adventures, and welcome to another episode of Was Solo. Alright guys, I just have to jump in here for a bit because I was originally filming this as an episode of Was Solo, but something happened down the track that made it so that I couldn't really promote this as an ideal track for the solo beginner. This will come to light when we get to it in the video. However, I did film it obviously specifically aimed at beginners, so let's just call it my first solo trip in the Hilux. And when we get to the bit that stopped me from promoting it as a solo track for a beginner, then you'll find out why. But I hope you enjoy this episode, my first real solo run in the Hilux. This here is probably a track you've never heard of. It is a Powerlines track and it is near Mundaring's, but it is not the Mundaring's Powerline track. It is out the back of Mundaring, and it runs through from Mundaring Weir Road all the way through to Albany Highway and beyond. Now it does go a little bit further that way. There's an interesting little jump up just on the other side of the road, but I've looked on the Google Maps and it doesn't seem to go very far. So I'm starting my journey here. We'll call this the start of the track, and we're going to go all the way through to Albany Highway. It does go past Albany Highway, but I'm not going to do that bit today. I have done this track in bits and pieces on various different trips in the past few years, but I've never done it in its entirety. So hey, a new adventure for me too. So I'll knock some air out of the tyres. I might have to put my morning tea in the travel buddy because I haven't had any breakfast yet, and we'll get underway. Now I'm just going to go down to, I don't think there's anything overly difficult on this track, so I'm just going to knock it down to about 20 psi all round, and we'll see how we go. Yeah, there are some little rocky bits through here, nothing too exciting, but just to protect the tyres a bit, always knock a decent bit of air out, so that way you don't wreck your tyres and they last a bit longer than normal. Alrighty, so just as I'm about to get started, this is the first thing I notice at the entrance to this track, and this absolutely disgusts me. Look, all that rubbish. And it's not four-wheel drivers that do this. They give us four-wheel drivers a bad name by coming up our tracks and dumping their rubbish, but literally most of this stuff is dumped within a couple of 100 metres of the entrance of a main road. So people just coming up, dumping their crap because they don't want to take it to the tip. So yeah, it's disappointing to see it, but it's increasing all the time, and I just really hope they put cameras up in these places and catch these filthy buggers that do this. All right, that's the track up there, and that's where we're going. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so there we go. That is the start of the track. As I said, I've knocked it down. I've actually gone 22 in the back, 20 in the front, because you do carry a little bit more weight in the back than you do in the front. It is overcast, forecast of rain today. Now it's funny, when you put up events and stuff in our Facebook group and the weather forecast is pretty bad, people will say, oh, the rain tomorrow, is the event still on? And I say, of course it is, because funnily enough, some of your best times will be in the days when it's piddling down with rain, because you know, you're not walking outside the car, you're inside the car. So even if it is raining, you're not going to get wet unless you have to get out and unstick yourself or something, you know. So, but it's all in good fun, and some of the best times you will have will be in the rain. So let's get this track underway and see what it's got in store for us, eh?
World gets in the way, drives us apart at the end of the day. Yeah, sometimes when we think that we're doing it wrong, we gotta remember things are changing, but our love is always staying the same.
Okay, so I haven't got too far up the track and I've just come across the first interesting little bit. Looks like a bit of a washout, so we'll just have a quick look at this. It doesn't look too bad. Yeah, bit of a washout and just a little crossover here, which is not too bad. A little bit worse than the last time I came down this track, but hey, that's what the adventure's for. So we'll might put it in low range for this little bit and we'll jump up there. Relatively simple, that bit. Quite often you'll come across sections on tracks that look, when you first look at them, they look pretty horrible, but in closer look and when you actually drive it, you find that was actually pretty easy. Don't know what I was worried about. So that looked, when I first looked at it, I went, ooh, that's a bit washed out than the last time I saw it, but once I drive it's fine, no trouble at all. So interesting start to the track. Let's see what's next.
And if you ever forget how good we've got it, think of it like this. Yeah. Tell me something that's better than jumping in your car, windows down in the dark. Yeah, my head resting on your shoulder. The night gets a little colder, I'm moving a little closer. No, I never saw it coming. Now I see forever in a moment with you. Tell me something that's better than this. The wonders of the world got nothing on us. Billions of stars spell out our names. Reality and dreams are now the same. And if you ever forget how good we've got it, think of it like this, yeah.
Okay, so one thing you do have to be careful of on this track is there are a couple of crossroads. Here's one now. And as I speak, I can actually see a car coming up that road there. So just need to be careful when going through these, especially tracks like this. There are a few crossroads. Just need to stop and make sure there isn't anything coming along. Alright, now this section here, there are many different lines you can take. There are some harder lines, there are some easier lines. It's a little bit challenging. I'm trying to pick not so much the easiest lines, but the lines that would fit a beginner. There are some much harder rock steps just behind the camera there, and I'm pretty sure there's one just up here which we'll have a look at in a minute. But trying to pick the best lines for you guys so you can have a look and think, this track's easy, I can do that in my lunch break. Alright, so we'll see you up the track. Alright, so it turns out that interesting bit that I looked at was just a little washout, and that's what I mean about some of these tracks. You can see something from a distance and you look at it and go, oh, that looks pretty horrible, and you get up close and they're nothing and you just drive straight through. So we're in a bit of a section. I'm back in high range now, just cruising along, looking at the map. Still got a fair distance to go. Not quite sure how long it's going to take me to do this track. Should hopefully get it done by lunchtime, so to show that it's just another track that you can do early in the morning, late in the afternoon, head off and have some lunch or have some dinner. So yeah, alright, we'll keep chugging along this track, and I'll show you the next interesting bit that comes up. Alrighty, now I've come to a bit of an area I was waiting for. There are some mud pits on this track, and this is what they look like. That one there I would not send anybody through, because I reckon you'll get stuck in the bottom of that. That looks like a puddle, however you just do not know what's in the bottom of those. That one there could also be relatively deep, and I can see a few logs poking around inside, which tells me there's some holes in there that people have put logs in to try and get through. So my recommendation here is don't go in bog holes. They have a tendency of destroying your vehicle, unless you've got an older four-wheel drive. Modern day four-wheel drives and water don't mix very well, so even though you might get through the track, in a few weeks time you'll end up having some problems. However, when you come to this section here, there is a perfectly good bypass track right there, and yeah, there's a couple of little puddles through it, but they're just puddles. I have been through here before. They are nothing to worry about. It's a little bit tight, but that's what the bush barriers are for, so I'll be taking that one. Won't be going anywhere near those bog holes. But given it's around 9:30, I haven't had any breakfast yet, I'm going to have some morning tea. Now, I'll tell you a little story. Yesterday I was out on the tracks with Brad and some of our beginners group on an event up at the Jeep Craft Track, and I popped a sausage roll in the travel buddy, just there. And when we got to our first obstacle, I thought I'll just check on said sausage roll and turn the oven down a little bit. To my surprise, when I opened up the oven, there was no sausage roll. And I'm thinking, what happened to my sausage roll? Literally, the first obstacle we went over, the sausage roll self-ejected from the travel buddy and ended up down there. You can see some crumbs just down there. So I think I'm going to have to invest in the door and catch on that, but in the meantime I've just chucked the strap around. Now, perfectly fine. That door does get warm, but it doesn't get hot enough. It certainly doesn't get hot enough to melt a strap. So that's my solution for now. I've got a Baker's Delight pizza in there, which I nabbed from the bakery yesterday, threw in my fridge. There it is, right there in all its glory. I'm going to chomp on that, get something in my belly, and then head up there. So I'll see you when I'm done. we go. That's the little bypass around those bog holes. So I'm a big fan of, if you don't have to do it, don't do it. Bog holes like that can end your day, as I tell all our beginners on our beginners days out. They can really end your day, and if they don't end your day, a couple of weeks later they can end your four-wheel drive. So many stories of people on the Holland track and various other places that hit all the bog holes. They either come out and end up going home on a tow truck, or a few weeks later they end up on a tow truck because they've got all sorts of electrical problems. So that's what bog holes can do. So if you've got to go through it, always find your best way through, but if you don't have to, my advice is don't, and live to tackle another day. The track's starting to open up a little bit now. The rain's starting to come in, as you can probably see from the outside camera, and or I should say the dash camera. So yeah, hopefully it'll just drizzle a little bit, but we'll see how we go. Alright, let's move onwards. There's a little bit of water through here now. Hit a bit of a stumbling block. Now these sorts of things do pop up from time to time, which is why you need to keep an eye out for signs, but I have come across this sign at a crossroads at the track, which means further in there is a disease risk area, otherwise known as DRA. They do put cameras up in these areas, so if you do enter, you possibly could end up with a fine. So I am not going to go any further. I do know this track goes all the way through to Brookton Highway. I am not going to risk it any further. You can see that people have. There's quite obvious bike tracks and four-wheel drive tracks going up there, but I'm going to do the responsible thing, and I am going to end this little trip here. And I'll jump back in the car now so I don't get wet, and we'll have a bit of a chat in there. Even though I said four-wheel driving in the rain can be good fun, filming, however, is a different story. So I am calling it quits at that DRA sign. You just never know. The Perth foothills chop and change all the time with watercorp areas, DRA, which disease risk area. It chops and changes all the time, and the authorities do put cameras up. So if you don't abide by these signs, you do open yourself up to a potential fine or a caution in the mail. So I am going to do the right thing. Alright guys, so there you go. That's why I had to end the trip there, because of the DRA sign. I was about to enter a disease risk area, and I'm not prepared to do that. And I'm not prepared to promote a track to people that is under DRA. Also, please excuse my croaky voice. I am currently in isolation due to COVID-19 and doing some editing to prevent myself from getting bored. So, the end of the day, that track is about an hour and a half long, the bit that you can do. So probably not worth the drive out there, hence why I have not put it in as another episode of Was Solo, but more of a bit of a solo run for me, stretching the legs by myself in the Hilux. So hope you've enjoyed what I could show you, and yeah, I'll hand you back now to me rambling on in the car and stuff like that. Not an absolute necessity, but they do help. They really do help, and I can tell you, ever since I've put well, the first set of off-road tyres I ever put on my Jeep was the Toyos, and now I've gone with the Toyo RT on the Hilux, and so far they have been brilliant. So they're a really good tyre. If you're looking for some information on some good tyres, go and see Brad and Michelle or Brendan at Integrity Tyres in either Wangara or Osborne Park. Tell them I sent you. Mention the beginners group and you will get your discount and they will look after you. So anyway, that's enough of a plug for Integrity and Toyo. Just like to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, if you want to support us with some of these videos that we do, head over to Patreon and consider becoming a Patreon. $5 a month minimum payment, or you can go up to the top level where you'll get exclusive content and other rewards as well. So you don't have to. Our content will always be free on YouTube, but on Patreon you also got some exclusive content there as well. So if you don't want to become a Patreon, you can also buy some of our merch. We have hats, beanies, shirts, decals, all sorts of stuff that you can purchase just by emailing me on this email address, and I will post it out to you. There's $10 postage and handling for those. So or make sure you watch the video, give it a thumbs up. You are subscribed to the channel. Every view is worth about 0.8 of a cent or something. I think I worked it out at, so might even be less than that. So every view is worth a little tiny bit in the bank. So give us a like, give us a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers, guys.